In today's noisy and constantly connected world, many people feel exhausted, distracted, and mentally drained. This isn't weakness or laziness, it's simply overload. In this story, you'll not only practice listening to English, but also discover 15 practical methods to relax your mind and restore inner peace. Daniel was 30 years old, working at a fast-growing technology company in the city. On the surface, his life seemed impressive. A stable job, decent salary, and the latest gadgets always in his hands. But beneath that polished image, Daniel was constantly overwhelmed. His days began with checking emails before even leaving bed, and they ended with scrolling endlessly on social media until his eyes could no longer stay open. His mind never truly rested. Meetings filled his schedule, notifications demanded attention every few minutes, and deadlines seemed to multiply without warning. Even when he was at dinner with friends, his phone sat next to his plate, buzzing, pulling him back into the noise. Daniel told himself he was just being productive, staying updated, and connected. But deep down, he knew something wasn't right. At night, when the world was quiet, his mind refused to calm down. He tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying conversations, unfinished tasks, and worries about tomorrow. Some nights, he lay awake until 3 a.m., scrolling through news feeds that only made him more anxious. By morning, his body was exhausted, yet his brain was still racing. The constant stress began to show. Daniel's focus at work dropped. Small mistakes became frequent. He snapped at colleagues over trivial issues and felt guilty afterward. On weekends, instead of enjoying time outdoors or relaxing, he drowned himself in more screen time, hoping distraction would silence the chaos in his head. But distraction was not peace. He often asked himself, "Why can't I just relax? Why does my mind feel like it's always running a marathon I never signed up for?" Daniel's struggle was not unique. Millions of people across the world experience the same invisible battle every day. In a society where busyness is glorified, silence feels foreign, and digital noise surrounds us 24 hours a day, many have forgotten what it means to truly rest. Daniel's story reflects the modern human condition: overstimulated, overworked, and overwhelmed. His journey toward finding calmness was not just about solving his own problems. It symbolized the challenge of an entire generation trying to reclaim peace in a world that never stops moving. One Saturday morning, after yet another restless night, Daniel reluctantly agreed to attend a workshop recommended by a colleague. The title caught his eye: Rescue Your Mind. At first, he laughed at the name. Rescue my mind. I'm not broken, he thought. But a quiet voice inside him knew otherwise. The workshop took place in a small, calm studio, far away from the noisy city center. As Daniel entered, he noticed the absence of screens, loud music, or constant notifications. People sat in a circle, their phones tucked away. The silence felt unusual, almost intimidating. The instructor, a calm middle-aged man with a gentle voice, began with a simple statement: silence is not emptiness. Silence is the space where your mind can breathe. The words struck Daniel deeply. He realized he had never truly experienced silence. Even when he was physically alone, his mind was filled with noise, messages, deadlines, worries, and endless scrolling. The instructor continued, "Most of us think relaxation is about doing less. But true relaxation is about creating space inside your mind. If you never allow silence, your brain never resets. You keep running on borrowed energy until you collapse." Daniel felt as though the man was describing his exact life. He thought back to his sleepless nights, the buzzing notifications, and the way his thoughts raced uncontrollably. For the first time, he admitted to himself he had been running away from silence, filling every second with activity and distraction, afraid of what he might feel if he stopped. During the workshop, the participants practiced a short exercise, sitting still for 5 minutes, eyes closed, focusing only on their breathing. At first, Daniel struggled. His mind jumped from unfinished tasks to weekend plans. But gradually, he noticed something new. Each breath felt like a small anchor pulling him back from the chaos. The silence was no longer frightening. It felt like relief. As the session ended, Daniel realized something profound. He had never given his mind permission to rest. He had treated his brain like a machine, expecting it to perform endlessly without pause. That day, he made a decision. He would stop running from silence and start embracing it. This was the turning point. For the first time in years, Daniel felt hope, not from productivity hacks or new apps, but from something much simpler, learning to breathe, to pause, and to let his mind finally rest. After the workshop, Daniel decided he would no longer ignore his mental health. Instead of chasing more productivity, he would experiment with small daily practices to bring calm back into his life. At first, the list seemed overwhelming, 15 different methods. But the instructor had told him, don't see them as rules. See them as gentle invitations. Try 1 or 2 each day, and slowly, they will become part of you. Daniel started with morning silence. Every morning, before checking his phone, he sat quietly for 10 minutes. At first, his thoughts raced, and he grew restless. But day by day, the silence felt less like an empty gap and more like a soft cushion for his mind. Next, he practiced breathing awareness. Whenever he felt anxious at work, he paused to notice his breath. Just 3 slow inhales and exhales made his chest feel lighter, reminding him that calm was always just 1 breath away. He shifted his work style through single tasking. Instead of juggling multiple screens and emails, he focused on 1 task at a time. To his surprise, his efficiency improved, and so did his peace of mind. The hardest change was digital detox. Turning off social media notifications felt unnatural at first, almost frightening. But as hours passed without constant interruptions, Daniel realized how much noise he had been inviting into his head every day. In the evenings, he started gratitude journaling, writing down 3 things he was thankful for. They were often small: a good meal, a kind word, a quiet walk. But over time, he noticed his perspective shifting toward positivity. He discovered mindful walking, slowing down his steps on the way home. Each footfall became a reminder that he didn't have to rush through life. Sometimes he paired this with nature connection, spending time in the park, listening to the rustling leaves and birdsong. Perhaps the most liberating practice was letting go. Daniel wrote letters he never sent, releasing old grudges and mistakes. Forgiveness was no longer about others. It was about freeing his own heart. He also worked on positive self-talk. Instead of criticizing himself, he spoke words of encouragement, like a friend would. Combined with protecting his energy, unfollowing toxic accounts online, his mental space felt cleaner and lighter. Slow living became his motto. He learned to enjoy his coffee without rushing, to savor conversations without glancing at his phone. When stress built up, he turned to creative expression, sketching, free writing, or strumming his guitar. It wasn't about talent, but release. Through body scans, Daniel gently relaxed each part of his body at night, letting tension melt away. He also practiced setting boundaries, saying no to commitments that drained him. Finally, he embraced acceptance, recognizing that some things could not be controlled, and that was okay. After several weeks, Daniel noticed profound changes. His sleep became deeper. His focus at work improved. More importantly, he no longer felt like a prisoner of his racing thoughts. Instead, he carried a growing sense of lightness, as if his mind had been unclenched after years of tension. His journey had just begun, but already, Daniel was learning the truth. Peace is not something you find. It's something you create, choice by choice, day by day. As Daniel reflected on his journey, he realized that the real treasure was not in the individual techniques themselves, but in the wisdom they carried. Each practice whispered a lesson that slowly reshaped his understanding of life, stress, and the human mind. The first and perhaps most powerful lesson was this: peace is created, not found. For years, Daniel had believed peace was something external, a place to reach when problems disappeared or when life became easier. But the truth was simpler. Peace did not come as a gift from the outside world. It came from the small, deliberate actions he took each day. The choice to sit quietly in the morning, to breathe mindfully, to say no to unnecessary noise. Peace was not waiting for him at the end of his struggles. It was built moment by moment through his habits. Closely tied to that was the lesson of consistency over intensity. Daniel realized he had often chased quick fixes a weekend retreat, a long meditation session, or a temporary detox. But what truly transformed his mental state was not a dramatic escape. It was the quiet discipline of 10 minutes every day. That daily rhythm was more powerful than any 2-hour ritual once a week. It was consistency that rewired his nervous system and gave his mind space to rest. Another lesson Daniel carried with him was that silence is powerful. In a world filled with constant messages, endless notifications, and the hum of technology, silence had seemed almost threatening at first. Yet, he discovered that silence was not empty. It was alive. It was where his thoughts settled, where his creativity bloomed, and where his spirit felt renewed. Silence was not absence. It was presence. He also learned that mind and body are inseparable. Whenever he practiced breathing awareness, body scans, or mindful walking, he noticed an immediate shift in his mental state. When his body relaxed, his thoughts softened. When he carried tension in his shoulders, his mind echoed with restlessness. The connection was undeniable. By calming the body, he was also calming the mind. Perhaps the most liberating lesson of all was the healing power of release. Letting go is healing. Holding on to old grudges, mistakes, and disappointments have been like carrying invisible weights. The more he clung to them, the heavier he felt. But through forgiveness, both of himself and of others, Daniel experienced a lightness he hadn't known in years. Letting go was not weakness. It was strength. It was the courage to stop pouring energy into wounds that could no longer serve him. Taken together, these lessons reshaped how Daniel saw his life. Peace was not a faraway destination. It was the result of daily practices, of mindful choices, and of a willingness to release what no longer served him. He understood now that calmness was not a personality trait reserved for a few. It was a skill, built like any other, through repetition and care. With every passing day, Daniel grew more certain. The mind can heal, but only when we give it the space, silence, and consistency it deserves. Daniel's personal transformation is not just his story. It mirrors a challenge faced by millions today. In a world that rewards busyness, many people chase external success while neglecting their inner life. The result is burnout, anxiety, and a constant sense of dissatisfaction. We celebrate achievements, promotions, and milestones, but rarely pause to ask, at what cost to the mind? Research continues to confirm what Daniel discovered through experience. A study at Stanford University found that just 10 minutes of daily mindfulness meditation significantly improved focus and reduced wandering thoughts after 8 weeks. This shows that even the busiest person can reclaim mental clarity without needing hours of practice. Similarly, researchers at Harvard University revealed that writing down just 3 things you're grateful for each evening lowered stress levels and boosted positive emotions. These are not abstract theories. They are practical, scientifically proven tools for a healthier mind. Yet despite this evidence, many people still overlook the importance of inner care. Why? Because it's invisible. Unlike a new car or a shiny promotion, a calm mind doesn't earn applause from others. But it is precisely this inner state that determines whether external success feels fulfilling or hollow. Without balance, achievements become burdens rather than joys. Think of the mind as a house. Each day, dust and clutter accumulate. Stressful thoughts, unfinished tasks, digital noise. If you never clean or organize, the house becomes chaotic. But if you spend a few minutes tidying up each day, the space remains peaceful and welcoming. The same is true for your inner world. The question is, are you caring for your mental home or allowing it to overflow with noise? Daniel's journey is a reminder that tending to the mind is not selfish, it is essential. When you protect your inner calm, you show up more present at work, more patient in relationships, and more creative in problem solving. In fact, the ripple effect of inner peace extends far beyond the individual. A calm mind influences families, workplaces, and communities. The wider message is clear. We live in a culture that glorifies productivity, but the real foundation of a meaningful life lies in mental well-being. Success without peace is fragile. But when we invest in daily practices that nurture our inner world, we gain not just focus and resilience, but also the capacity to truly enjoy the life we are building. As we reach the end of this story, let's pause and reflect. Relaxing your mind does not require dramatic life changes or distant retreats. It begins with simple, consistent actions that you can integrate into your daily life. Just a few minutes each day can transform how you think, feel, and respond to the world. Daniel's journey proves that peace is not something you stumble upon by accident. It is something you create. By practicing small, steady habits, he discovered that his mind could be trained to slow down, reset, and breathe. And the same is true for you. You don't need to master all 15 methods right away. Instead, start with one. Perhaps it's sitting in silence for 10 minutes, walking mindfully without your phone, or writing 3 things you're grateful for each evening. The power lies in choosing one practice and making it part of your daily rhythm. Here is your call to action. Write down the habit you want to try this week. Commit to it, not just in thought, but in action. Place a reminder on your desk, your phone, or your journal. Treat this commitment as a promise to yourself, the first step in building a stronger, calmer mind. Remember, peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is the foundation that allows you to enjoy your work, your relationships, and your personal growth. Peace is not a destination. It is a daily practice. The more you train your mind to rest, the more powerful it becomes. So take a deep breath, choose your first step, and begin today. Your mind deserves the same care and attention you give to every other part of your life.